Right, we're doing an impromptu reading, soul reading with Sandra. And this is a new book that I found. It's called Journey of the Souls. It's by Michael Newton. He's a PhD and he's a hypnotherapist. And I thought it was quite interesting, the information that would be shared, because let me read the introduction, all right? And maybe you'll find this as exciting as me. Different version, right? Because everybody is talking about what happens after death. And he's found a way in hypnotherapy to, just like Diane or Dolores Cannon does, to speak to the higher beings or the souls. And listen to this. See through the eyes of the immortal soul. Okay, this is his opening statement of his book. Why are you here on earth? With a question mark. Where will you go after death? With a question mark. What will happen to you when you get there? With a question mark. Many books have been written about past lives, but there has been little about the ongoing existence of our souls as we wait for rebirth, until this startling and provocative book. Okay, it says, when Dr. Michael Newton, a certified master hypnotherapist, began regressing his clients back in time to access their memories from former lives, he stumbled on a discovery of enormous proportions. That it is possible to see into the spirit world through the mind's eye of subjects who are in a hypnotized and superconscious state, and that clients in this altered state were able to tell him what their soul was doing between lives on earth. Right? Welcome, soul.god. Also, I think it's Manichu Cho Hadri 81. I hope I pronounced that right. Sandra.frost.18. Anyway, so he goes on to say, what you are about to read will shake your preconception about death. However many years, the author has taken hundreds of people in the spirit into the spirit world. The 29 cases recounted here encompass the report of the very religious, the very spiritual, non-committed, and those in between, all of whom display a remarkable consistency in the way they answer questions about their spirit world. Dr. Newton learned that the healing process of finding one's place in the spirit world was far more meaningful for his clients than describing their former lives on earth. Journey of the Souls represents many years of his research and insight to help you understand the purpose behind your life's choices and how and why your soul and the souls of those you love lives eternally. All right? So this is why it interests me. We are going to be finishing up the last two chapters of Dolores Cannon's book. Then I will take this from an impromptu reading to reading it Monday through Thursday at approximately 1:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Okay? And, and that's, like I said, approximately that time. I will move it just in case I have other things going on, aka life. All right. So here we are. We're going to impromptu read this book called Journey of the Souls. And it's by Michael Newton. He's a PhD and he's a hypnotherapist. All right. Welcome, Tanya, to Wealth. Okay, so we're going to start. When I started reading this, the first chapter is called Death and Departure. And some of it might, remember, When I read, it's about you taking what resonates for you and leaving the rest. If it doesn't resonate for you and you have a moment where you go, don't even bother judging that. Just take what resonates and grow your puzzle piece called life. Because the divine has, in every book, in every video, in every television and movie, the divine is speaking to you in bits and pieces. It's movies and TV and books and novels and big biographies and bibliographies, if that's how you call them as well. The true stories that people write, there's information in it for you so that you can grow and expand. The whole book, the whole movie, the whole series, the whole conversation that you might have may not be for you, but what resonates for you, you'll know it. Why? Because of your feelings and your emotions about it. Okay? So the chapter 1 is called Death and Departure. Okay? And he does this case by case. So he starts with S and a period. And in the parentheses, the word subject, and then a colon. So S is under hypnosis, and he or she says, "Oh my God, I'm not really dead, am I? I mean, my body is dead. I can see it below me, but I'm floating. I can look down and see my body lying flat in the hospital bed. Everyone around me thinks I'm dead, but I'm not. I want to shout, 'Hey, I'm not really dead.' This is so incredible. The nurses are pulling a sheet over my head and people are crying. I'm supposed to be dead, but I'm still alive. It's strange because my body is absolutely dead while I'm moving around from above. I'm alive." And that ends with an exclamation point. Hi, Gravity Matt. I hope all is well. The next paragraph says, "These are the words spoken by a man in deep hypnosis, reliving a death experience. His words came in short, excited bursts and are full of awe as he sees and feels what it's like to be a spirit newly separated from a physical body." Welcome. Okay. This man is my client, and I have just assisted him in recreating a past life scene while he lies back in a comfortable recliner chair. A little earlier, following my instructions during his trance induction, this subject was age aggressed in a return to childhood memory. His subconscious perceptions gradually coalesced as we worked together to reach his mother's womb. I then prepared him for a jump back into the midst of time by the visual use of protective shielding. Thank you. Peace and light to you. When we completed this important step of mental conditioning, I moved my subject through an imaginary time tunnel to his last life on Earth. It was a short life because he had died suddenly from influenza epidemic in 1918. As the initial shock of seeing himself die and feeling his soul floating out of his body begins to wear off, a little, my client adjusts more readily to the visual images in his mind. Since a small part of the consciousness or the conscious critically portioned of his mind is still functioning, he realizes he is recreating a former experience. It takes a bit longer than usual since this subject is a younger soul and not so used to the cycles of birth, death, and rebirth as many of my other clients. And hold on a minute, my thing is, let's see if I can get it a little bit. Yeah, there we go. All right. It's weird, but we go with the flow. Okay, so yet within a few minutes, he settles in and begins to respond with greater confidence to my questions. I quickly raise this subject's subconscious hypnotic level into the superconscious state. Now he is ready to talk to me about the spirit world, and I ask him what's happening around him. Let me take a, I'm excited about this. It's nice to understand that PhDs and not just hypnotherapists are understanding more about not just the subconscious and the conscious, but the superconscious, which is the divine realm. I remember talking to a therapist who we were talking, and I said, he was explaining parts of the mind that represent the consciousness and unconsciousness or subconscious. And then when I asked him about, okay, how about the superconscious? He said, I've never heard of that. I don't think that's real. That's kind of what he told me. You would need to explain that to me. And I kind of told him I believe superconsciousness is the realm of the divine or heaven, or I call it the realm of absolute. You can call it whatever you want, right? So, and I asked what is happening to him. And S says, well, I'm rising up higher, still floating, looking back at my body. It's like watching a movie, only I'm in it. The doctor is comforting my wife and my daughter. My wife is sobbing, and in parentheses, and the subject giggles with discomfort in his chair. Close the parentheses. I am trying to reach into her mind to tell her everything is all right with me, but she's so overcome by grief, I'm not getting through. I want her to know my suffering is gone, and I'm free of my body. I don't need it anymore. That I will wait for her. I want her to know that, but she is not listening to me. Oh, I'm moving away now. And so, guided by a series of commands, my client starts the process of moving further into the spirit world. It is a road many others have traveled in the security of my office. Typically, as memories in the superconscious state expand, subjects in hypnosis become more connected to the spiritual passageways. As the session moves forward, the subject's mental pictures were more easily translated into words. Short descriptive phrases lead to derailed explanations of what it's like to enter the spirit world. We have a great deal of documentation, including observations from medical personnel, which describes the out-of-body or the near-death experiences of people severely injured in accidents. These people were considered clinically dead before medical efforts brought them back from the other side. And hold on a second. It keeps, Forgive me, my phone keeps tilting, or at least it feels like it's tilting to me. Right? Souls are quite capable of leaving and returning to their host bodies, particularly in life-threatening situations when the body is dying. People tell of hovering over their bodies, especially in hospitals, watching doctors perform life-saving procedures on them. And in times, these memories fade after they return to life. Hold on. My chair is uncomfortable. I don't know. Maybe it's my chair. Hold on a second. Hold on. Yeah, this is my chair. I needed to have it straight forward. Okay. All right. And the picture you see is my one of my granddaughters is like, she's in her early 20s, but she drew this and painted it for me when she was really young. So I found it in some unpacked boxes that I hadn't unpacked, and I went, "Ooh, I'm going to put that up." And that flows with my mother's picture behind me. I know as I moved my camera or my phone and its camera, now my mother's directly behind me, but that's okay. I'll lean so you can see her a little bit, right? All right. Okay, so let's keep going. People tell of hovering over their bodies, especially in hospitals, watching doctors perform life-saving procedures on them. In times, these memories fade after they return to life. The early stages of hypnosis regression into past lives, the descriptions of subjects mentally going through their past death do not contradict the reported statements of people who have actually died in this life for a few minutes. Hi, Blessed Boogie. Divine greetings to you as well. I am reading a book. This is an impromptu reading. Hey, it's Saturday. On Monday, I will continue reading the Dolores Cannon's The Three Waves of Volunteers and the New Earth at its regular time. But this new book is called Journey of the Souls, and it's by Michael Newton, PhD. All right. I found it intriguing, and I'm reading it with you. Okay? So, and once again, take what resonates and leave what doesn't. Okay, one size just doesn't fit all. Sometimes you just got to get just enough information to alchemize a puzzle piece in your puzzle called life. That will grow and expand you. That will shift you and evolve you. That's what we're here to do, right? And hey, you take what resonates, and when I say take what resonates, let it resonate all through you. It's going to vibrate through you. And if you leave what doesn't, if it's not like kicking you off, then don't even bother to vibrationally judge it. Just leave it alone and let that flow to someone else that resonates for them. Hi, hashtag Harry. Okay, so here we go. Okay, so I'm on page 9. And this first chapter, this is chapter 1, is called Death and Departure. Okay? In the early stages of hypnosis regression into past lives, the descriptions of subjects mentally going through their past death do not contradict the reported statements of people who have actually died in this life for a few minutes. The difference between these two groups of people is that subjects in hypnosis are not remembering the experiences of temporary death. People in a deep trance state are capable of describing what life is like after permanent physical death. Welcome, Pearly. Pearl, your own. Okay, Okay, let's see. What are the similarities of life after death recollection between people reporting on their out of life experience as a result of temporary physical trauma and a subject in hypnosis recalling death in a past life? Both find themselves floating around their bodies in strange ways, trying to touch solid objects with which dematerialize in front of them. Both kinds of reporters say that they are frustrated in their attempt to talk to living people who don't respond. Both state they're feeling a pulling sensation away from the place where they died and experience, ooh, I gotta calm down. This is exciting. Hi, Laura. Welcome, welcome. Hey, hey. All right. I got to slow my roll because this is exciting. Both state they feel a pulling sensation away from the place where they died and experience relaxation and curiosity rather than fear. All these people report a euphoric sense of freedom and brightness around them. I am well, and you? Glorious. Simply marvelous, darling. Okay, some of my subjects see brilliant whiteness totally surrounding them at the moment of death, while others observe the brightness is further away from an area of dark space through which they are being pulled. This is often referred to as the tunnel effect, and has become well known with the public. Oh, I love that. So Michael, once again, I'm reading another book by Michael. I've read several books by different Michaels. This is vibration. Okay. So Michael goes on to say, my second case will take us further into the death experience than case one. The subject here is a man in his 60s describing to me the event of his death as a young man called Sally. Oh, as a young woman called Sally, who was killed by, and I'm going to spell it before I pronounce it. Kiowa is Kiowa Indians in an attack on a wagon train in 1866. Although this case and the last one relate death experiences after their most immediate past life, a particular death in history is no special relevance because it is recent. And that just means that even though the date, even though the case, the person says the year, doesn't mean that it means anything, because to that soul that is leaving that body, it's a now moment. Okay, I hope you understand that. Although this case and the last one relate death experiences after their most immediate past life, a particular death date in history has no special relevance because it is recent. I find no significant difference between ancient and modern times in terms of graphic spiritual world recall or the quality of the lesson learned. Michael goes on to say, I should also say the average subject in trance has a uncanny ability to zero in on the dates and geographic locations of many past lives. This is true even in earlier periods of human civilizations, when national borders and place names were different than exist today. Former names and dates and locations may not always be easily recalled in every past life, but descriptions about returning to the spirit world and life in the world are consistently vivid. The scene in case 2 opens on the American Southern Plains right after an arrow has struck Sally in the neck at close range. I am always careful with death scenes involving violent trauma in past lives, because the subconscious mind often still retains these experiences. The subject in this case came to me because of a lifetime of throat discomforts. Wow, of throat discomforts, of the throat chakra being impeded. Okay. Release therapy and deprogramming is usually required in these cases. In all past life recall, I use the time around death for quiet review and place the subject in observer status to soften pain and emotion. We can do that also as we meditate, when we go inward. And we become the observer of what we're meditating about, whether it's about situations, circumstances, about a conversation that we've had with somebody that has impeded us. When we take the meditation time, we can go inward, and we can travel inward to our higher being, which puts us in a calm state, to allow us to be the observer of what we need to see, as our higher being shows us our recent past, or our situations and stories, and how we got to them, and show us what we need to see, so that when we come back to our now moment, we can see how we can change or move into a active area of a solution of a situation or circumstance, to take it from problem stage, or the problematic vibration, and move us into the vibration of an answer and the action of the answer. He's doing that in this stage. Okay. So the next little portion is called Case 2. Dr. N, are you in great pain from the arrow? The doctor, right, says, are you in great pain from the sorrow? And S says, yes. The point has torn my throat. I'm dying. And in parentheses, the subject begins to whisper while holding his hand on his throat. Close the parenthesis. I'm choking and blood is pouring down. Will, and in parentheses, husband, is holding me. The pain is terrible. I'm getting out now. It's over anyway. Note, souls often leave their human hosts moments before actual death, when their bodies are in great pain. Who can blame them? And that's with a question mark. Nevertheless, they do stay close by the dying body. After calming techniques, I raise this subject from the subconscious to the superconscious level of the transition to spiritual memories. Dr. N says, all right, Sally, you now have accepted accepted being killed by these, and he uses the word Indians, but you can say, you can call them whatever you want. This is when the book was written, okay? Take what resonates and leave what doesn't. By the Indians. Will you please describe to me the exact sensation you feel at the time of death? S says, like a force of some kind pushing me up out of my body. And Dr. N says, pushing you out where? And S says, I'm ejected out the top of my head. And Dr. N says, and what has pushed out? Well, me, with an exclamation point. Dr. N says, describe what me means. What does the thing that is you look like going out of the head of your body? S pauses. Like a pinpoint of light radiating. Dr. N says, now, how do you radiate light? And then S says, from my energy, I look sort of transparent, kind of white soul. Dr. N says, does this energy light stay the same after leaving your body? And S says, I seem to grow a little as I move around. Dr. N says, if your light expands, then what do you look like now? And S, wispy string hanging. And Dr. N says, what does the process of moving out of your body actually feel like to you? Welcome, Mom with a job. S says, well, it's as if I shed my skin, like peeling a banana. I just lose my body in one whoosh. Dr. N asks, is the feeling unpleasant? And S says, oh no, it's wonderful to feel so free with no more pain. But I am disoriented. I didn't expect to die. And in parentheses, sadness is creeping into my client's voice, and I want him to stay focused on his soul for a minute more, while rather than what is taking place on the ground in his body. And he closes the parentheses. Dr. N says, I understand, Sally. You're feeling a little displaced at the moment as a soul. This is normal in your situation for what you have just gone through. But listen and respond to my questions. You said you were floating. Are you able to move around freely after death? And S says, it's strange. It's as if I'm suspended in air. That isn't air. There are no limits, no gravity. I'm weightless. Dr. N says, you mean it's sort of like being in a vacuum for you? And S says, yes, nothing around me is solid mass. There are no obstacles to bump into. I'm just drifting. And Dr. N says, can you control your movement where you are going? And S says, oh yes, I can do some of that and but there is a pulling. There's a pulling into a bright whiteness. Oh, it's so bright. Dr. N says or asks, is this intensity of whiteness the same everywhere? Brighter. It's brighter away from me. It's a little darker. It's like darker white gray in the direction of my body. And then again, she starts to cry. Oh, my poor body. I'm not ready to leave yet. And then in parentheses, subject pulls back to his chair as if he is resisting something. Now remember, the subject is a he that went into past regression. The past life that he's speaking about is when his soul was a woman that had an arrow struck into her neck. All right? So let's keep going. Dr. N says, "It's all right, Sally. I'm with you. I want you to relax and tell me if the force that took you out of your head at the moment of death is still pulling you away, and if you can stop it." And then Sally pauses. "When I was free of my body, the pulling lessened. Now I feel a nudge, drawing me away from my body. I don't want to go yet, but something wants me to go soon." Dr. N says, "I understand, Sally, but I suspect you are learning you're learning to have some element of control. How would you describe this thing that is pulling you?" Sally said, "A kind of magnet. It's magnetic. It's a magnetic force, but I want to stay a little while longer." Dr. N says, "Can your soul resist this pulling sensation for as long as you want?" Sally pauses, or S pauses, and in parentheses, there is a long pause while the subject appears to be carrying on an internal debate with himself in his former life as Sally. And then, as the pause releases, Sally says, "Yes, I can if I really want to stay." Subject cries again. "Oh, it's awful what those savages did to my body. Take what resonates. This is just the what the doctor is writing in the books, what the soul is saying." And I'm getting the vibration that savages is not representative of Indians or Native Americans. Okay. I don't know what it's representative of, but it's not that. I'm getting that from the divine. But take what resonates and leave what doesn't. "There is blood all over my pretty blue dress, and my husband Will is trying to hold me and still fight with our friends against the Kiowa." I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that correctly. And then there's a paragraph that says "note" with parentheses, or with quotation, not quotations, with colon. "I reinforce the imaginary of a protective shield around this subject, which is so important as a foundation to calming procedures. Sally's soul is still hovering over her body after I move the scene forward in time to when the Indians of that period, 1866, were driven off by the wagon train rifles." Okay. The divine is telling me the description is not of importance to someone who's listening or who will be listening. Dr. N says, "Sally, what is your husband doing right after the attack?" Sally says, "Oh, good. He isn't hurt, but with sadness with what she's seeing. He is holding my body and crying over me. There is nothing he can do for me, but he doesn't seem to realize it yet. I am cold, but his hands are around my face and he's kissing me. Dr. N says, and what are you doing at this moment? S says, I'm over Will's head. I'm trying to console him. I want him to feel my love is not really gone. I want him to know he has not lost me forever and that I will see him again. Dr. N says, are your messages getting through? And S says, there is so much grief, but he feels my essence. I know it. Our friends are around him, and they are separating us finally. They want us to reform. They want to reform the wagons and get started again. Dr. N asks another question. And what is going on now with your soul? S says, I'm still resisting the pulling sensation. I want to stay. And Dr. N asks, why is that? Well, I know I'm dead, but I'm not ready to leave Will yet, and I want to watch them bury me. Dr. N asks, do you see or feel any other spiritual entities around you at this moment? And S says, they are near, and soon I will see them. I feel their love as I want Will to feel mine. They are waiting until I'm ready. Dr. N asks, as time passes, are you able to comfort Will? And she says, I'm trying to reach inside his mind. Dr. N says, are you successful? And there's a pause with Sally. It's so long. The pause feels so long, but it's not but a blink of an eye. I think a little. He feels me. He realizes love. Dr. N says, all right, Sally, now we are going to move forward in relative time. Do you see your wagon train friends placing your body in some kind of grave? And there's a pause. And then a voice is more confident. Yes, they have buried me. It's time for me to go. They are coming for me now, and I am moving into some bright, beautiful light. Welcome, Kindred Created. Okay, Michael says, contrary to what some people believe, souls often have little interest in what happens to their body once they are physically dead. This is not callous over personal situations. The people they leave behind on earth, this is not callous. They leave, hold on. This is a run-on sentence. Contrary to what some people believe, souls often have little interest in what happens to their body once they are physically dead. This is not callous over personal situations and the people they leave behind on earth, but an acknowledgement of these souls to the finality of mortal death. They have a desire to hurry on their way to the beauty of the spirit world. However, many other souls want to hover around the place where they died for a few earth days, usually until after their funerals. Time is apparently accelerated for souls, and days on earth may only be minutes to them. There are a variety of motivations for the lingering soul. For instance, some who have been murdered or killed unexpectedly in accidents often do not want to leave right away. I find these souls are frequently bewildered and angered. The hovering soul syndrome is particularly true in death of young people. Welcome in. I am reading this book called Journey of the Souls. It's an impromptu reading and will be picked up after I finish reading Dolores Cannon's book. Then this will replace the reading Monday through Friday at 1:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. But I felt excited to read this. This is another contribution to past life regression. This PhD found out through his past life regression that he could tap in to the super consciousness of the souls and what happens after a soul leaves their life experience. Okay, so he goes on to say, the hovering soul syndrome is partly true of death with young people. To abruptly detach from a human form, even after a long illness, is still a jolt to the average soul, and this too may take the soul, may allow the soul to be reluctant to depart at the moment of death. There is also something symbolic about the normal 3 to 5 day funeral arrangement period for souls. Souls really have no morbid curiosity to see themselves buried because emotions in the spirit world are not the same as we experience here on earth. I like the fact that he expresses that, we humans do that. We're the ones that have a problem separating ourselves from the form body. It's not a problem really. It's because we have. For me, I'll explain it this way: because I had 30 something odd, beautiful, wonderful years with my mother and her form body. And I know she was body, mind, and soul. And I knew that one day the death part of that would happen. But it was expected, but not expected. You saw the signs, but you didn't expect it to happen when it happened. And she went to sleep and she just didn't wake up. But that was glorious in its own. But we're connected to the form body, right? And our higher beings are connected to our form body because we are going through this earthly experience together. But the soul has a recalling of where it came from, and to know that it had the experience of what was called my mother Anne, and it's excited to get back to that experience, what I call the realm of absolute, the realm of everything that is and is not, to share vibrationally with the divine that allowed it to express itself in my mother. So they don't see it, it's not even morbid. It's just part of the acknowledgement that you're going to miss that, for me, that form called my mother. Even though I know that soul stayed with me, it made a choice to come back and be my spiritual counselor. She's always on my right-hand side. She's always playing with my hair. She is free not to be a she, but to be a they. And they're really excited to move on. And they give you thanks. They do. Everyone that has passed on. They give that form body thanks. And then they go, okay, let's see what's next. And they don't judge the experience. They're not taking it to the divine. And the divine is not judging you. The divine has not seen you, has never seen you as a problem. The situations and choices we choose and make, because we have feelings and emotions, we judge them as problems, and if we're looking at them, it can be our compass to changing and evolving from one direction to another. I hope that, I hope that explains that. Took that moment of missing my mother. And my mother has been gone well over 30 years. Yes. Well over 30. Okay. Ooh. I needed to feel that emotion. It was good to feel that. Okay. Hold on a second. So Michael says, as we saw in the last case, there is one basic reason for many spirits not wanting to immediately leave the place of their physical death. This comes from a desire to mentally touch out to comfort loved ones before progressing further into the spirit realm. Those who have just died are not devastated by their death, because they know those left on the earth will see them again in the spirit world, and probably later in other lives as well. On the other hand, mourners at a funeral generally feel they have lost a loved one forever. And that's not a negative, and that's not a problem. The divine says, however you want to feel through this, let it be so. However you want to believe, let it be so. And growth and expansion on your journey will give you the shifting and the evolution that you need to get beyond that. Take what resonates, leave what doesn't. Those that are coming in, this is an impromptu reading of a book that I will be reading later on in my normal reading room after I get done with Dolores Cannon's book. We're on 2 last chapters for Dolores Cannon, but the chapters are long. So this book right here is called The Journey of Souls. It's by Michael Newton. He's a PhD, and he also does past life regressions. And he found through his past life regressions that he can take people beyond just the subconscious, right? He can go into the superconsciousness, which is where the souls transition to the divine, in the divine world. That's the book that helped me through. Wonderful. So I'm going to be reading it as soon as I finish Hold on, I'll just get this one. As soon as I finish the last 2 chapters of this, I will be reading this as the next book. So I'm giving you a little taste, right? So crazy, huh? No, this, like I said, the divine chooses the book, even in an impromptu book, right? So those coming in, check out the replay as I had started reading the book. Yes, crazy synchronicities, goddess. Okay, so let's see, where was I? Okay, so he goes, during hypnosis, my subjects do recall frustration at being unable to, hold on. Hi, Rio Rick Stone. Hi, my brother. This is my brother. This has always been my brother. Rick, the real Rick Stone, has always told me, you do not divorce family. You may divorce your husband, but we will always be brothers, and don't call me a brother-in-law. When I introduce him, I introduce him as my brother. Hey, brother, welcome to my reading page. Ooh. Let me just wave at him. Okay. So, Michael says, during hypnosis, my subjects do recall frustration at being unable to effectively use their energy to mentally touch a human being who is unreceptive due to shock and grief. Okay, so Goddess Love 88 says, hi, Uncle, because she adopted me as her mother, and I adopted her as my daughter. She's my daughter from another mother. Okay, so she's officially part of the family. So she says, hi, Unc. And that's what my kids say, Unc, right? Welcome, Nina Simone _ 2. Okay, so let me continue reading. So, emotional trauma of the living may overwhelm their inner minds to such an extent that their mental capabilities to communicate with souls is inhibited. When a newly departed soul does find a way to give solace to the living, however briefly, they are usually satisfied and want to then move on quickly away from Earth's astral plane. Welcome, Laughing Eagle. Their Earth's astral plane. Michael says, I had a typical example of spiritual consolation in my own life. My mother died suddenly from a heart attack. During her burial service, my sister and I were so filled with sadness, our minds were numb at the ceremony. A few hours later, we returned to my mother's empty house with our spouses and decided to take a needed rest. My sister and I must have reached out or reached the receptive alpha state at about the same time. Appearing in 2 separate rooms, my mother came through our subconscious minds as a dreamlike brush of whiteness above our heads, reaching out, smiling, indicating her acceptance of death and current well-being. Then she floated away. It lasted only seconds. This act was a meaningful form of closure, causing both of us to release into a sound sleep of the delta state. Michael goes on to say, we are capable of feeling the comforting presence of the souls of lost ones, especially during or right after funerals. For spiritual communication to come through, the shock of mourning it is necessary to try to relax and clear your mind, at least for a short period. At these moments, our receptivity to the paranormal experience is more open to receive positive communications of love, forgiveness, hope, encouragement, and the reassurance your loved ones are in a good place. When a widow with young children says to me, "A part of my husband comes to me during the difficult times," I believe her. My clients tell me as souls, they are able to help those on earth connect with their inner minds to the spiritual world itself. As it has been widely said, people are not really gone as long as they are remembered by those left on earth. In the chapters ahead, we will see how many I'm sorry, how I'm feeling the emotion of someone, and how specific memories is a reflection of our own souls, while collective memories are the atoms of pure energy of all souls. Death does not break our continuity with the immortal souls of those who we love simply because they've lost the physical personhood of a mortal body. Despite their many activities, these departed souls are still able to reach us if called upon. Occasionally, a disturbed spirit does not want to leave the earth after physical death. This is due to some unresolved problem which has had a severe impact on its consciousness. In this abnormal cases, help is available from higher caring entities who can assist in the adjustment process from the other side. We also have the means to aid disturbed spirits in letting go on earth as well. We will have more to say about troubled spirits in chapter 4, but the enigma of ghosts portrayed in books and movies has been greatly overblown. But take what resonates for you, leave what doesn't. You believe what you believe. Because let's put it this way, a thought is a vibration. If you think upon something continuously, it turns into a vocal action. That vocal action, if you keep it vibrating, it turns into belief. If you keep having the action as a belief, it turns into your truth. And your truth is what creates for you. And you are the only one that can decide when the truth is no more is activating something that's not for your highest and greatest good anymore. And only you can go and update and change and evolve. Only you can make that decision. So take what resonates, leave what doesn't, and discern for your highest and greatest good. I can't do that for you. No one can do that for you except you. All right? And I am not here to debate any book I read. I am here to read it and through the channeling process of the divine, share wisdom and understanding with you. You take it, do what you will with it. All right? So Michael goes on to say, How should we best prepare for our own death? Our lives may be short or long, healthy or sick, but there comes that time when we all must meet death in a way suited for us. If we have had a long illness leading to death, there is a time to adequately prepare the mind once initial shock, denial, and depression have passed. The mind takes a shortcut through this sort of progression when we face death suddenly. as the end of our physical life draws near, each of us have the capability to fuse with our higher consciousness. Michael goes on to say, dying is the easiest period of our lives for spiritual awareness, when we can sense our soul is connected to the eternity of time. Although there are people dying who find acceptance to be more difficult than resignation, caregivers working around the dying say most everyone acquires a peaceful detachment near the end. I believe dying people are given access to a supreme knowledge of eternal consciousness, and this frequently shows in their faces. Many of these people realize something universal is out there waiting, and it will be good. Dying people are undergoing a metamorphosis of separation by their souls from an adopted body. People associate death as losing their life force, when actually the opposite is true. We forfeit our body in death, but our eternal energy unites with the force of a divine oversoul. Death is not darkness, but light. My clients say, after recalling former death experiences, they are so filled with rediscovered freedom from their earthbound bodies that they are anxious to get started on their spiritual journey to a place of peace and familiarity. In the cases which follow, we will learn what life is like for them in the afterlife. Okay? And literally, the divine wanted me to finish chapter 2. I have did a whole 10 pages. So we stop at chapter 2. Chapter 2 is called Gateway to the Spirit World. Once again, let me just put a bookmark here. I'm going to just take a piece of paper and put a bookmark here. And I'm going to show you the face of the book again. It's he's had over 6,000 copies sold. I am not in collaboration with Michael Newton or his page, if he has a Instagram page or book anywhere. I'm not telling you to go out and buy this book. I am reading this book, and you can join me in my soul reading with Sandra. Everything that is saved and repost and in replay is on my page called Soul Conversation, not Conversations, I do so many things. Soul Awakening with Sandra. You will see it with a cover that it says Impromptu Readings, and this book will be there under that until I will probably keep it in impromptu readings until I start reading this Monday through Thursdays. On Monday through Thursdays, 1:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. All right? And yes, it's kind of early for people who have jobs or work or whatnot, but you can always catch it in the replay. I would love for you to catch it in the replay. Okay, so again, this book is called Journey of Souls. It's by Michael Newton, PhD. And I close this reading room and its energy with 10845, 10845, 10845. For those who do not know what 10845, it's closing the energy circulation, so that if there is people with energy that come through the room that want to be disruptive or putting bad energy out there, your energy doesn't get entangled with it, and you can take what resonates with you and leave the rest. So with that, I close this reading room. 10845, 10845, 10845. Have a beautiful Saturday. Have a wonderful, wonderful Saturday. Take your energy back. Take what wisdom and understanding that has been imparted to you. One size does not fit all. You are a sovereign spiritual being having a beautiful human, I say, encounter, and go be the creator that you were meant to be. Create. Have a thought. Discern that thought. If that thought is for your highest and greatest good, if you discern it with not just only feelings and emotions, but you discern it with your body, mind, and soul, and it deems to be a glorious thought, go create it. You're a master manifester. Have an awesome day. Take care. Peace.